Hi everyone, welcome to our April product update. I'm Juan Veloso-Guin, Product Marketing Manager. As you can see, today I'm joined by Scott Gibbons, our Head of Product, and Georgia Hadji-Perez, our Product Manager. So before we start, very quickly, some housekeeping rules. If you have any audio or visual issues, please leave the call and join it back. If you have we encourage for you to connect with each other in the chat. And if you would like to ask us any questions, please put them in the Q&A section. This session is recorded and will be sent to you after the webinar. So in today's session, we'll be looking back at the work done for the analytics discovery and also at the tagging, the work we've done for the tagging functionality. We'll look at what we'll be doing in terms of accessibility and add resource. Then I'll be sharing a link to our next product update webinar. And lastly, we'll look at your questions. Having said that, I think it's over to Scott.
Thank you, Juan. If you could move on the slides, please. So we're just going to have a look at a couple of things that we've done recently. Next slide, please. So we've just finished the analytics discovery, and we're just going to talk about what we did. You can use the next slide, please, Juan. Thank you. So we met with 15 different universities, including one from Australia and one from the USA. The people we spoke to, about 50-50 split on those that subscribe to advanced MIS and those that don't. Each meeting had between 2 and 4 Talis staff. We had people from our product team, so myself and Georgia, of course. We had people from customer services, some of our engineers, and also salespeople. So a good mixture of Talis staff listening in to what was being talked about. Meetings usually last about 30 minutes. We put an hour in the calendar, but usually not much more than about 30-35 minutes. And we recorded all the meetings to check back on points that were discussed and used AI to help us transcribe and collate the findings. So it pretty much looked like a conversation. We were asking some questions that were standard across all the meetings and gathered a huge amount of information. So if you have a look at the next slide, please. So what do we find out? Well, we found out in reporting, the standard reports that use in Talis are well used and appreciated, but there are a number of enhancements that were suggested. And some of those most popular enhancements that people suggested that most people sort of talked about were allowing report settings to be saved. So if people are setting up filters on a report you want to run, just save those, and then you can run it as that report. Also, allowing reports to be scheduled was requested. So, for example, run this report every Monday morning, and then it should just be automatically sent to you. They also some requests for allowing users to select the fields that you wish to export. At the moment, when you get an export, you get everything, and there's quite a lot of work done on taking fields out, reorganizing. So maybe just export these 5, 6, 10 fields rather than everything. And also a better view of the data in Talis without necessarily requiring a CSV export. Related to reports, we had some other suggestions that we could include in standard reporting. So people asked some reporting on review status, identifying items that belong to subscribe package. So for example, I want to know all the items I subscribe to in this package from ProQuest. And then possible handoff from reports to bulk actions. So I've identified all those items from ProQuest. We've changed our subscription from those to EBSCO, so I need to change all the URLs. That in past might be a bulk action. Maybe we could bring some of that functionality so reports would hand over to bulk actions within the system rather than you having to know how to do bulk actions using the APIs. Next slide, please. Wow. We also looked at the list analytics was a common thing that was talked about. The biggest issue is unclear what they are actually reporting. Quite a lot of talk went on about the list analytics, but we boiled this down to some clear definitions of what the data is showing, so you actually know what you're looking at. Improve the capture of clicks, and that's from all routes, from those coming in, so where people are coming from, are they coming from LTI, are they coming from Talis directly, and also those outgoing clicks, you know, clicking on a book, or you're clicking to expand the information. The ability to see the data by hierarchy, so you could see all the ones in a school, for example, was deemed important. Aggregate views against multiple lists, similar to hierarchy, but you might have lists from different areas. And also unique user counts was deemed important. Of course, you have to log in to get unique user counts. So, but that'll tell you, you know, if you've got 10 different users using 100 books or one user using 100 books. So that unique user counts was deemed important. And the other thing people talked about was advanced MIS, those customers that subscribe. And the biggest issue there was a technical barrier. At the moment, those you that use advanced MIS will know that you need to have a knowledge of SQL and somewhere to put the data when you export it from advanced MIS. So people suggested that we can make that easier. Let's drop the technical barrier, maybe make some drag and drop report builder, web-based interface that doesn't require Power BI or other tools, and some pre-built templates that you can just plug and play and just get on without having to do anything. And the ability to share and export those reports was also highlighted. So you wouldn't have to get an expert in your library to build it and then share it. You'd be able to just easily see those and export those images and also data to quickly build your own reports. Next slide, please, Van. So that's what we found out. Quite a lot of information about what you wanted from the system, which was great. The product team will be consulting with the business, with our colleagues in Talis and also in Cortex to help with the analytics. And we'll start scheduling work to improve the reporting analytics based on all your feedback. So I think we said on all these meetings, we're not promising we do it all, but we will build a roadmap of improvements that we know are important to you. And as soon as we've got that in place, we'll start communicating that through these meetings, these webinars. We do want to say a big thank you to everyone who joined Discoveries. We appreciate for your time and your thought. And I know a number of you put quite a lot of work into it as well with things that you prepared beforehand. And also those that couldn't attend but submitted written feedback and through the ideas log, all that's taken into consideration. So we do appreciate all that. And as I said, we'll update everyone on progress in future webinars. And pass over to Georgia.
Thank you very much, Scott. And I just want to echo what he has mentioned just there. It was really, really lovely for us to be able to speak to so many of you. I think I attended about 13 out of the 15 calls. And it's really nice to be able to see, put some names to the faces and see who has joined us today from those calls. So thank you so much for joining us today and during the discovery. I'm going to talk to you a bit about what we completed in the first quarter of this year when it came to the tagging workflow. So if you go to the next slide, please, Juan. So what we did in the first quarter of this year, we worked on phase 1 and 2 of tagging. Phase 1, we included managing tags in the admin setting area, adding and editing tags to include them to reading list items, adding tags in the new bookmarking flow, viewing tags in item information pages. So that was what you were able to first get. And then in the second phase, we added some reporting. So reporting on tags in the reading list items report, and also including tags in reviews by filtering and adding alerts. And of course, adding data into our advanced MIS. So we have been looking and seeing how everyone has been using our tags. Please feel free to drop in the chat how you are using tags at your institution, or if you're not yet using it. But we've been doing a little bit of digging into the data to see how everyone is using it so far. So if you go to the next slide, please, Juan. So I'd like to shout out Tim from our customer success team for helping me put together some of this data. And essentially so far with release in March, we have about 2,866 tag applications over all of our customers so far, 2,731 items that have been tagged, 139 unique tags have been created across all of our institutions using tagging so far, and 115 distinct conceptions. So essentially what that means is each institution obviously can label their tags anything they want. So some institutions, for example, have used open access as a tag, or OA as a tag, or open access with a capital letter. So essentially we've been able to collate all of those and find out that there was 115 distinct tags that weren't similar to each other that were being used. So that's really, really exciting. And 71% of all tags are the top 3 tags that you can see on the left-hand side: open access, print format only, and free open textbooks. And the top one, open access, which is no surprise to anyone, is the top tag at the moment, accounts for about 1,364 tag applications, which is almost 50% of all tags at the moment. So it's being used a lot. And also, if you look at some of the data here, a lot of our customers are, using the tags for practical and operational tags, which is very exciting. So for example, like limited access, limited read per user, unavailable under review, things like that. And also things that you can't see here from the top tags are how else other institutions are using tags. So for example, tagging seminar reading, tagging list editions or latest editions, tagging if there's AI in libraries, for example, an AI document or sensitive material as well. So it's been really exciting to see how everybody is using tagging, and please continue to use it. And also please continue to give us feedback on tagging. We are taking everyone's feedback into consideration on our ideas portal. So if you're having a customer call anytime soon, please do tell your customer success person who can relay that back to us, or add it to our ideas portal. But we want to thank you for using it, and it looks like it's something that is really showcasing how open access is, becoming more and more important inside of libraries. And with that, I think I'm going to pass it back to Scott. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Juan. Just a quick little bit for me about accessibility. Next slide, please. So we're moving on. We've just done an accessibility audit to look at the Talis site. Next slide, please, Juan. And we carried out a full audit with help from the UX team in core text, again, of Talis against WCAG 2.2 AA. So there's some changes to make, and we'll schedule the working to fix all those issues over the rest of this year. Some will be done quicker than others. We've also got a few that came to the ideas log that will also be scheduled in with those. We don't believe it should result in any significant changes to the interface, just improved overall accessibility. And we also update our VPAT document accordingly. So those are all being logged and added to our backlog of work to do now. That's all from me. We'll pass back over to Georgia to talk about our next big project. Next slide, please.
It's ping-ponging back and forward between us today. So I'm going to talk to you now about some additions that we are making to the add resource functionality. So if you could go to the next slide for me, please, Juan. So some of you might remember that last year we did some work on our ability to add resources to lists in Talis. So the problem that we were having was that customers were finding it difficult to add items to a list, and generally the experience overall needed some improvement. So we made 3 key improvements. First, we expanded the details of resources before adding it to a list. So as you can see from the screenshot below, when you select a title, it no longer adds it straight to a list. It opens up a panel of information underneath. And essentially you can figure out if this is the resource for you before adding it to a list. We've added the addition of labels. So as you can see on the bottom right-hand corner, we've added labels like available in library and online resources, so you get that quick snapshot of information. And also we've added the ability to add to list with importances. So as you can see from the far right, you can select the adds to list and also choose the importance as you go. So that doesn't have to be done on the list. It's already included in the add resource option. So that was phase one. If you go to the next slide, please, Juan. So we were happy with that. We've continued to do some work on our bookmarking and other flows, but we realized there were some more problems that we needed to address that Add Resource, or the work that we're doing with Add Resource, can help to address. So, for example, we've had feedback about only being able to search one database at a time. We know that some people like to search their Nielsen book data, but also want to look at their discovery systems. And we've had customers who have basically said that they were unsure about connecting to their discovery system because they didn't want to lose the option to be able to search from Nielsen book data. So we want to address that. The search is not granular enough. So you can search by, as you can see from the screenshot here, by title, author, ISBN, or year of publication. But what we'd like to do is be able to include some filtering systems which allow you to do your search and also filter by publication of year and resource type as well. We have seen from the couple of slides before about how OA and OER resources are becoming so much more prevalent in the library for multiple reasons. So we wanted to be able to make OER text available and searchable within Talis rather than going to an outside database and having to add them in manually. And finally, we want to be able to add the addition of new database integration. So not just like we said about OER databases, but also partner with our partners with the Cortex and bring Cortex customers the ability to add books from their general books options as well within Talis. So the next screen one is a demo. So if you start sharing your screen, I will share mine and I'll show you guys what this will look like. So can everyone see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Lovely, thank you. So as you know, you can add a resource by hovering wherever you'd like it in a list. So I am going to do it here. Now, I want to preface this by saying this is an AI generated click-through. It's really, really amazing. It's nice to see that our design team are able to use AI to create some really dynamic views for you, but that also means that sometimes things can be a little bit off. So just bear with me if that happens. So here I'm going to click Add Resource. And as you can see, we've opened up a panel here, and you still have the same search by title, author, ISBN, or year of publication, but you also on the left-hand side have the ability to filter by articles, books, chapter, journal, and other, as well as publication year. So I'm going to show you just an example. Now, below the search bar, you can see that there are some tabs, and these are your available sources search, or your databases. So my bookmarks, your discovery system, Nielsen book data, and then some new databases. So Cortex general books and an internal OER database that we are working on as well. So for here, I might want to type in that I want a text about film. I've seen that in Nielsen book data, there's 3 options here, but I want an article, not a book. So I'm going to click that, and you can see how that filters. On this example here, you won't be able to see it, but you will need to click apply filters before you can get the answers there. And then you can add it to list as you did before with the importances, and that will appear in your list as usual. Now, we've added some extra settings in the settings area. So for any additional databases, just as you usually would, you need to contact our support team or raise a support ticket to be able to add the credentials of your databases, so your discovery system and things like that. However, when you get to the settings area for admins, system admins, you'll see on the left-hand side you have search sources, and then you'll have all of your available databases here. Now you can order the tabs in whichever order you like. So the tab at the database at the top is the first tab to the left-hand side, and so on. You could do that by drag and drop, and you can also do that by moving positions up and down. Also, you have the option to edit these databases. So essentially what you can do is when you go into edit my bookmarks, you can make something visible, edit. You can make something visible or not visible. So for example, if you have a database that you don't want people to use right now, you can make it invisible. And if you've added a new one in, and you can make it visible here as well. Also, we know for our discovery systems that not everyone names their discovery systems Primo or whatever other discovery systems you're using. You can rename them to library searches, for example. So just for your discovery system, you'll be able to make that change. And then you can save them. It will not save here because this is just a click through, but I wanted to give you a flavour of what we are improving. So hopefully this will make for a more well-rounded and also a bit more dynamic searching environment for your patrons when they're using this. So if I'm going to stop sharing my screen, Juan, if you can go to the next slide for me, that'd be really helpful. Cool. So just to recap, what we plan to build for this second phase of Add Resource, we want to be able to add the ability to search multiple existing databases. So all of your bookmarks, your discovery systems, if you've got them connected, also you have the opportunity to, add your discovery system if you haven't yet done that with our support team, and Nielsen book data. So you'll be able to search through those 3 databases if you have them all linked up. You'll be able to filter your searches by date range and resource type. The date range is really useful because you can search for across many years, 2020 to 2026, or if you know that there's a specific edition that you want that was, released and published in 2026, you can put 2026 to 2026, and it will give you those specific, the specific resources as well. We're going to keep the ability to add resources to a list with the importances, so that won't be going away. In the settings area, which is for system admins only, you'll be able to order your databases, show and hide those searchable databases in the add resource section, and change the name of your discovery system to whatever you prefer to name it to. And finally, what we want to be able to bring to you is the ability to add more databases, and hopefully this will continue to grow as we do as well, but for our Cortex customers to be able to include the ability to add books from their Cortex General books API, and also an internal OER database that we're currently working on now for you to be able to search and add OER text to your Talis reading list. And that is all I had to bring to you on that. Of course, as you would have heard me say a million times, what you get at the end of all this might look slightly different to what I've shown you today, but hopefully this gives you a flavour of what we'll be working on next. Thank you very much. Juan, next slide.
So to me. So our next product update. Our next product update will be on the 11th of June at the usual time, 4 p.m. BST. And I've just shared a link to the registration page. With that said, over to you for questions. So far, we haven't received any questions. So if you have any questions or comments, please send them. Oh, we do have one. It was just Claire saying that she wanted to know if there was an ability to hide databases. So great to hear that. We will introduce that.
Yes, we want to make sure that you are able to kind of use this as you wish to use it.
Perfect. We got another question. Is to do with tagging. Any plans to make some tagging invisible to students?
So we have been collecting some feedback on tagging. We're still in the collection of feedback stage, but we have had quite a lot of feedback about having library only tags or tags that wouldn't be visible to students. So that's definitely something we're working on in the sense of finding out how feasible it is and being able to see what we can do to bring that to you guys. We know that is such an important one that we've got loads of feedback on. So you are certainly not alone on that one. Thank you.
We got another question about tags. Any plans to be able to bulk update a tag or tags?
I think for the next two and any type of tag feedback, it's probably the same as what I was mentioning before about we're kind of still collating some of the feedback from tagging as it's so fresh. So please keep adding feedback to our ideas portal to be able to kind of get your voice heard, vote up some of the ideas that you see on there as well, because that really helps us to understand what's important to you guys. And obviously we can't do everything. We want to make sure that we are putting all of our efforts into building the features that are going to help you guys the most as well. But those two about bulk updates for tags and also add and edit tags within Talis Review, we have heard before as well. So thank you for bringing them to our attention again.
We still have 4 minutes until the end of the webinar. So if you have any more questions, please send them over to us.
I see there's a question come in from CJ. David Renfrey moved on elsewhere. He's gone back to being a librarian. And we have a new person that started this week, who was also a librarian, or is also a librarian. I don't know if she stopped being a librarian, but who started this week, a lady called Victoria, and I'm sure you'll get to meet her soon.
So we have, we're on a roll here with the tags. Any plans to be able to reorder, recolor tags? I know accessibility is a concern, but pre-made color palettes could circumvent that issue.
It's certainly something that I think we would need to look into very deeply, because like you say, we're very concerned about making something that is inaccessible or things like that. We have also been hearing from some customers about wanting to make their tags stand out a little bit. Some people have been using emojis like the red dot and the blue dot. I was chatting with Tim yesterday from our customer success team, who someone else also mentioned that. So you can kind of distinguish them in those ways, but I think we kind of want to make sure that we're going to get that right. In terms of any sort of further customization at the moment. And like we say, this is just our first iteration of tags. We really want to make sure that we are, you know, being able to build it and make sure that there's room as we grow. So yeah, thank you very much for all your comments. And I like the one about you never stop being a librarian. I was a teacher before I was a product manager, and I still kind of refer to myself as a teacher. You never really lose the qualifications and the experience. It always sits with you.
Yeah, same as me, George. I started as a librarian. I still think I'm a librarian. I did 10 years working in college and university libraries. So.
For sure. And we have another comment at the bottom. I'm sure tags are great, but the new search options for ad resources will resonate more with academics. And I think this is also something that's really important to us, to make sure that we are making Talis as usable and user-friendly as possible, not just for our wonderful librarians, who we know sometimes do take on a lot of the brunt of making our lists, but also for our academics who use this to create a, you know, really thoughtful, thought-out resource process. And hopefully here you'll be able to see how they are using it. And again, once this comes out, please give us the feedback on how we can continue to improve this as we go.
We have one last question because we're almost on time. Well, we're on time, but just one last question. When will phase 2 of ad resources be available? And when is it, will the test link we had to view the discovery system integration still work?
So I'll answer that. So in terms of the discovery integration, we may have to revisit that, Jill, because it just depends if there's anything changed. So we just need to double check that for you at that time. Phase 2 ad resources work is about to start. I think the very first little bit of it has started, where the developers have started evaluating the size of tickets, etc. So it is going to be in Q3 this year. So that's going to be, we've just started Q2, April, May, June. Yep. So it'll be unless something miraculous happens and everything's much easier than we expect, which never happens in IT, unfortunately, it will be in Q3 this year. As we get further on, and probably next time is for you in June, we'll have a much clearer idea of exactly how long it's going to take. But it was quite a lot of work changing the screen size and adding those different ideas, different ways of getting into databases. So there's quite a lot of work there, but we'll be able to update you more in June about the progress with that.
Thank you, Scott. We're on time. So thank you everyone for coming to this webinar. We'll be sharing a recording very soon, and also it will be featured in the next newsletter. Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you.